India's Make in India initiative, launched nearly a decade ago, aimed to transform India into a global manufacturing hub. The government set ambitious targets, aiming for the manufacturing sector to account for 25% of GDP by 2025. But in 2024, despite some progress, the sector hasn't taken off as rapidly as expected. Let's dig into the real challenges facing India's manufacturing sector today. First up, infrastructure and logistics challenges. While India has made strides in infrastructure development, logistics issues continue to slow manufacturing growth. According to the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index, India ranks 38th, lagging behind other manufacturing powerhouses like China and Vietnam. Poor road connectivity, port congestion, and costly shipping all contribute to delayed timelines and higher costs, putting Indian manufacturers at a disadvantage. For instance, in 2024, electronics manufacturing plants in Tamil Nadu reported delays of 2-3 weeks due to bottlenecks in customs clearance and slow last-mile delivery. These delays add up over time, discouraging large investments in Indian manufacturing. Next, skilled labour shortages and training gaps. India's young workforce is often touted as a key advantage, but there's a gap between availability and skill level. A report from McKinsey in 2023 noted that 40% of employers in India's manufacturing sector struggle to find adequately skilled labour, especially in high-tech areas like electronics and precision engineering. Companies like Foxconn and Tata have found that a lack of specialised training in the workforce leads to higher costs. Extensive on-the-job training is necessary, slowing down production and increasing operational expenses. This skills gap is a significant reason India has yet to fully capitalise on the shifting of manufacturing away from China. Land acquisition and regulatory complexities also pose significant hurdles. Complex regulatory requirements, legal disputes, and local opposition can stall projects for years. Even in states with more investor-friendly policies, companies face delays. For example, a large manufacturing project by Hyundai in Andhra Pradesh faced a 3-year delay due to land acquisition issues and environmental regulations. This contrasts sharply with countries like Vietnam, where government support for rapid land clearance has attracted companies looking for quicker timelines. Supply chain dependency on imports is another challenge. A major issue for Indian manufacturers is the heavy reliance on imported raw materials, especially in sectors like electronics and automotive. In 2024, around 70% of India's electronics components and about 60% of the country's medical devices were imported, primarily from China. Recent geopolitical tensions and supply chain disruptions have increased costs, making Indian companies vulnerable to delays. The government has introduced production-linked incentive (PLI) schemes to boost local production, but these initiatives are still in early stages and have yet to fully reduce import dependency. High cost of capital and financing issues also stunt growth. In comparison to countries like China, where manufacturers have easier access to low-cost financing, Indian manufacturers face high interest rates. Lending rates for manufacturing range between 8 to 12%, much higher than in competing countries. For example, Ola Electric, one of India's leading EV manufacturers, has struggled with financing constraints that have delayed expansion plans. High financing costs make it challenging for small to medium-sized manufacturers to scale up, further stunting the growth of the sector. Finally, policy gaps and slow implementation. While India has rolled out policies like the Make in India initiative, implementation has often been slower than anticipated. The PLI scheme has seen positive responses but is concentrated in specific sectors like electronics, leaving gaps in other manufacturing areas. The lag in policy execution and bureaucratic delays have prevented India from competing with countries like Vietnam, which provides faster incentives and smoother regulatory processes. In 2024, for instance, the textile sector in India has been calling for support through subsidies and easier export norms. But due to delays in policy approvals, companies are turning to other countries with more predictable policies and faster incentive disbursements. Now let's take a quick look at where India's manufacturing stands in 2024. Contribution to GDP. India's manufacturing sector accounts for about 16 to 17% of GDP, still short of the 25% target. Employment. Approximately 27 million people are employed in manufacturing, a modest increase from previous years, but not as rapid as projected. FDI inflow: India received about $10 billion in FDI for manufacturing in 2023, up by 12% year over year. However, this growth is still lower than expected, given India's market size and workforce potential. Sector growth. Sectors like electronics and EVs are growing at around 10 to 15% annually, but other sectors like textiles are stagnating. India has tremendous potential to become a global manufacturing leader, but these structural issues need targeted solutions. To attract long-term investment, India could benefit from streamlined regulations. Simplifying land acquisition and environmental clearance processes could speed up project timelines. Investment in skills development, scaling up vocational training programs to align with high-tech manufacturing needs. Incentivizing local supply chains, boosting PLI schemes, and introducing subsidies for raw materials manufacturing could help reduce import dependency. Improving infrastructure. Continued investment in logistics and port infrastructure would enhance India's competitiveness on a global scale. India's manufacturing journey is still unfolding, and as the country addresses these critical issues, it has the potential to create a robust, sustainable, and competitive manufacturing ecosystem. However, achieving this will require both public and private sectors to work closely, innovate, and adapt to changing global dynamics. Want more insights like this? Subscribe to our channel for in-depth analyses, business trends, and data-backed case studies on India's evolving industries.